Hi Tina, hi ladies at the Brave Conference. I'm sure you are learning a lot and that God's speaking to you, and I hope that He uses this story to help you as well. I have to be brave to share it because this is not easy, especially by video, but I need to share it because I feel like there's someone there that really needs this message. So, I was brought up in a strong and godly home. At least it grew to be a strong and godly home as I grew. And I saw my parents face difficult things, and they taught me by their own courage how to seek God and let Him guide you. And I saw how faithful He was when things seemed impossible. So when I found myself in this scary time in my life, pregnant and alone, I did lean on God. I did seek Him out. I did try to make things right. I saw that divorce is not His will, and I must do everything I can to make things right and to honor Him and to die to self and to carry my cross and love my enemies. And I worked hard to try to restore the marriage that I really wanted. I really loved this man, and I was quite devastated that he left. So I tried to forgive his sin, his unfaithfulness, and I tried to be godly, but I couldn't change his heart. I felt like Peter. I was trying with all my faith to walk on water, and all I was doing was sinking. It felt like a failure. It was something I was ashamed of throughout most of my life, and until recently, honestly. And really, when Tina asked me to share this story, was the first time I ever saw that time as a time when I was brave. All I saw was my failure then. And yet I realize now that there are things in this world that we choose that aren't against God's will, that we might say, like Peter did, Jesus, call me out onto that water. And I just imagine that Peter wanted to do well. He wanted to do the supernatural. God must have been pleased with that. Or else why would Jesus call him out onto the water? But he didn't ask anyone else to go out there. It was not a requirement. And I think of my time when I was trying to win my husband back as a time when I was like Peter. I had this naive faith that I could change someone else's heart, that I could make someone else better, that I could cover someone else's sin. And that's not my job. And Peter wasn't required to walk on water, and you and I are not required to do the impossible. What we're required to do is ask Jesus to get in the boat with us. And I did finally do that, and Jesus did give me peace in my storm, and I was able to let go of my failure and realize that God has forgiven me, and that that it's okay. I mean, divorce is not His will, but He loves me anyway. And that I am not a complete failure, although I am, His blood covers my shame, and that He can make all things beautiful in His time. And He took that time in my life and He made a ministry out of it. I mean, it was through that time as a cosmetologist that it became a huge beauty battle for me, and that's the basis of my ministry to women now when they're hurting and how their image is affected by that and their self-confidence. And so He did take that time and made something beautiful out of it. But until recently, I didn't realize that God is not a man that He should look at my failure and say, "You've failed, you horrible person, I forgive you." Instead, He sees our feeble attempts as if we are this little child coming to Him with a dead flower saying, "Daddy, look what I did. I tried to stay a good wife, and I failed. And he's still pleased with that, just like you and I are when our children come to us with their feeble attempts to do something amazing. He still loves us. So I guess that's my message today, is that, when you want to be brave, yes, be brave. God is well pleased. But the best way to be brave is to risk not being supernatural, is to risk not having control of someone else, to risk, being vulnerable and letting Jesus come in and take control, letting him come into our boat and saying, all right, you take the reins, you take the stern, you sail this boat for me. And in the end, for me, he led me to a wonderful and godly man who is the most faithful thing. I have never met a more wonderful man of integrity, and that is my sweet reward. And I know that whatever you're going through, that he will make it beautiful for you. He will reward you. Just trust him. And we'll see you next year. Love you. Bye.